root fractures during extraction. What is the sequence? How to approach the situation? Okay, step by step. So what is the first step?
First we have to see which portion. Before luxation the root is fractured or after luxation the root is fractured.
Okay, so the first step is when your root fractures, you should first analyze whether the fracture has happened before the luxation or after the luxation. So when you put the forceps and when you give some movement, the tooth becomes luxates, but it's not coming out. So you are giving little extra pressure, it breaks. Okay, so that means the fracture has happened after the luxation. This is one type. Okay, another type is when you put forceps and you are giving excessive pressure, too much pressure, uncontrollable pressure, it snaps. The tooth doesn't luxates but fractures directly. So this is fracture before luxation. So first you should know this. So which one is easier to remove? Before luxation, after luxation. So after luxation, that root is easy to remove because that tooth is a little loose in the socket. Okay. So what is the second thing you should analyze?
Bone level. The fracture is at the
No.
bone level.
Which root has fractured? Which root has got fractured? After the snap happens, don't keep the tooth. Okay, don't keep the forceps. Hold the forceps and check which root has fractured. Because the moment you throw the tooth or keep the forceps in the tray, you will lose orientation. You won't know that which root has got broken. If the root is broken at the bone level, when you see the socket, you will know. But if the root is broken near the mid level, sometimes even you don't know which root has got broken. You may get confused. So first know which root is fractured, mesial or distal, or if it is upper, mesiobuccal or distobuccal or thing, or sometimes in the lower molar you get a supernumerary root. Okay, what is the common location? What is the common location of a supernumerary root in lower distal? Distal. Very commonly you can see a distal root. Sometimes you won't know that the root has got fractured. You will see two roots and you know that you got success. But if you look closely, you will see a small root remaining. Okay. So first point is
Before luxation.
or after luxation. Second point is
Which root is fractured?
which root has got fractured. Third step is
Level.
whether it has got fractured above the bone level. Okay, above the bone level or at the bone level, equicrestal, or in the mid root level, or in the apical level. So there are four categories of fracture. Okay, if it is in the bone level or above bone level, in the mid root level or in the apical level, each has got some unique difficulties. Okay, if it is at the bone level, you can easily see the root, but it is difficult to engage the with the forceps. If it is in the apical third, it is difficult to see with the root tip because it is too deep. You need a good metal suction tip with thin pointed metal suction tip. You cannot use a plastic suction. So you need a metal suction tip for extraction to put suction into the socket deep. So the first point is before luxation or after luxation the tooth has got fracture. Second is which root. Third is which level. The fourth one is very important. What is the fourth one?
In the direction the organ system.
What plane the fracture has happened, whether it is a horizontal fracture or it is a oblique fracture. Okay. So most commonly you see fracturing happening like this, but sometimes you see the fracture is happening like this. The root will be like this. The extractor tooth, it will be like this. In socket it will be like this. So when you observe the tooth itself, extractor tooth, you will see a slanting here. So in the slanting, which is the higher end, which is the lower end, you have to check. Which is the AC off. You can open the doors. Okay. So if the fracture is slanting, this is the higher end towards our eye level. This is very away from our eye level. Why you should know this?
Point of the root.
Yeah. you have to approach the removal procedure through this part. You cannot keep an elevator here. You cannot insert the elevator, no, this end. This is very easier to see than this. This is very easier to approach than this. Okay, so these are the basic things you should check. And the final thing is, yes, and the final thing is you should know whether there is any, if the root tip is fractured, very small root tip 2 to 3 mm, you should know whether there is any periapical lesion or not. If it is a 8, pericoronate is 8, without any decay, you can leave the root, especially if it is close to lingual bone or canal, you can choose to leave it. If it is close to sinus, otherwise it may go into the sinus. Okay. But if there is a periapical lesion, or if the concerned tooth is a decayed tooth with apical peritonitis, it is better to not to leave the tooth. If there is no periapical lesion, nothing will happen, it will stay without giving any symptoms. But if there is any periapical infection, then you are in trouble. So what is the next step? Next step is observe the periodontal ligament. Okay. So you got 3 roots. Okay. You remove these 2 roots. Only palatal root is there. Okay. This is 5. This is 7. Only palatal root is there. Okay. With canal, right? You have to observe see the PDL space, periodontal ligament space. Want to excel in extraction and removing difficult tooth or fractured tooth, you should be able to see the PDL space. There is no excuses. You have to observe the PDL space. What is the common width of PDL space? Okay, so you will see the PDL space like this, right? Not like this, not this much big, very less. What is the width? What is the thickness of the PDL, periodontal ligament? How much clearance you are giving for implant restorations? How much clearance you are giving for implant restoration? 40 microns. Why you are giving? Because that is the width of the periodontal ligament. So the width is around 40 to 120 depending upon the situation. Okay. The more the width is there, the more easier to remove. If it is a tooth suffered from traumatic occlusion, the periodontal ligament space will be widened. It is easy to remove. If the space is very thin, it is very difficult to remove. Right? The next point what you have to check is the quality of the surrounding bone. The quality of the surrounding bone. If it is very thick, it is difficult to remove. If it is a cancellous, porous, you can easily remove. So list the points. First point, or after relaxation. Second point, which root is fractured. Third one, level of fracture, plane of fracture. Then whether any lesion is there or not. Then periodontal ligament space. Then bone quality. So before trying to remove these things, you have to analyze these things. In 5 seconds, you should do all these things. Okay. So how to remove a fractured root? Okay. There is no special technique, only 2 techniques. One is using forceps, and another one is using elevators or luxators. Elevators or periotomes. Right? There is no other option, right? How you, yes, that also comes under periotome. Okay. But how you use it, what technique you are using only determines the success. Okay. So I will tell the basic principle. If it is at the equigingival or above the bone level, you can use forceps. You can use forceps. But the moment it goes to the mid or apical level, you cannot use forceps. So you got it? So the forceps has got very little value in removing a fractured root when it fractures at the mid root level or the apical level. So the more you have to depend on the elevators when the fracture goes below. If it is above or equigingival, you can use forceps. If it is at the equigingival level, you can remove 1 or 2 mm of buccal bone and you can use forceps if possible that situation. But most of the time you have to depend on the elevators and periotomes. So what is the basic concept behind using a periotome and elevator is, you have to put the instrument into the PDL space, then only it luxates. Right? See, there's got 2 doors, right? One door here, one door here. Suppose the lock is missing, you have to break and open it. So where will you break? Here will you break, or here you will put one instrument and break. It is easier to put one instrument inside this gap. So wherever there is a gap, there is a weak point. You have to insert the instrument into the PDL space. For that you have to see the PDL space. In the initial stages, the doctors, what we will do is, there will be bleeding and blindly we will take an elevator and poke everywhere in a hope that it will come out somehow. You will be poking the root, you will be poking the bone, not the PDL space. Unfortunately, if the root is near the sinus, you will push into the sinus. It is happening, right? If you are poking the bone, you won't get any result. You will induce more bleeding only. The area will become more mess and it is difficult to see that place properly. So when a root fractures, first thing, don't panic. First irrigate with saline, put proper suction and see what is the situation. See this steps. Then take an instrument which is very sharp and insert here. 360 degree you try. There is no secret. Okay, now comes that instrument, how it should be. It should be thick or thin. Thin. Okay, it should be thin, right? Because it is only a 40 or 50 or 60 micron. If the elevator is blunt, can you use it? So before using the elevator, what you should do, you should check whether it is sharp or blunt. Without checking that, if you straight away take and poke, then it is a mistake. So elevators, periotomes, even probe, explorer, sharp explorer also comes into the category, right? Sometimes we use a small probe to explore this PDL space and relax. So the instrument should be very thin. The BP blade is very thin. Can you use it? It will break. So there are 2 qualities it should have. It should be thin and strong. This is where the problem comes. If it is thin, it will bend, break. If it is thick, it won't work. It will give you more issues. That is why you are having the periotomes. We have got angled periotome, right? We have got one more curved periotome which is very flexible, which is not of very much use. So the periotome should be firm, it should not be very flexible. Why it is called periotome? Because it is incising the periodontal ligament. That is why it is called periotome. So elevator, normal periosteal elevator you can use, but make sure it is sharp. You can use a probe in certain situations. Okay. And if the bone is soft, you can create space by digging the little bone also. If the bone is very thick, then you can use a burr to remove the bone between the root and the bone, or you can use a piezotome. The final concept is to create a space around the root so that we can put an elevator and elevate it. So what is the advantage of using piezotome is, it is sharp, right? It is very sharp, it is very thin, and it is quite strong also, and it has got a vibration also, piezoelectric vibrations, right? It vibrates. Have you seen the root gets luxated and it's coming out automatically? So use the piezotome. It has got a tip, right? So 360 degree you use. It will widen the periodontal ligament space. Right? It will vibrate and it will become loose. And another advantage is the normal periotome. What we are using is, this is the periotome, this is the handle, right? Okay. But you cannot use this in all situations. some roots it is difficult to use 360 degree. You can use Buckley, but you can use measly, but other parts it is difficult to use. You cannot use 360. But the piezo, it is angled like this, like a handpiece. So the access is easier. Piezotome, normal piezo, periotome, you can use anteriorly beautifully, but when it comes to 8 or 7, the access becomes difficult. So in this situations, the piezo becomes very weak. Okay. So this is the basic thing I am